Hey everybody, this is Sean, and I want to thank you for listening to the latest edition of Cabin Fever Podcast. And on today's show, it is just me and Mad Whitney. And we talk about his trip he took to Nashville with his girlfriend. And unfortunately, we get down and dirty and we talk politics. We talk about Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and goddamn, it just gets my blood boiling. And I know I shouldn't be getting worked up about the presidential election. It's all a bunch of bullshit anyways. So everybody, please vote with your heart. Fuck these candidates. If you want to write in your candidate, go ahead and do that. Write in Gary Johnson. Write in Ron Paul. Bernie Sanders. Frank Underwood. Jesse the Body Ventura. And the list can go on and on. Write in whoever you want. Fuck these lame ass options. And everybody, please think positive, stay positive.
Cabin fever.
Wrong.
Wrong.
That's good, yeah.
She's a criminal.
He's very fluid with his hand movements, absolutely. His facial expressions. Did you see the meme where they took Homer's mouth and put it on his eyelid? It was a perfect matchup.
I know. Someone paused it and saw it. Too.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
Looks like Homer's mouth.
I've got my meme. Yes.
Meme time.
Cheers. Cheers to the podcast.
Cabin fever. Cabin fever.
Cabin fever.
How do you like the intro song?
I like it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I think because it's been with us almost the beginning. Beginning. Yeah, we started off with Against Me.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that?
Completely forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder... I'll have to look back and see which episode we introduced that intro on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I completely forgot about that.
I'll throw in the old intro here.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. Oh, it just records over it, I see.
No, I was going to say, because now you do an intro, and it's cool when the...
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like a great way to, you're kicking into the actual podcast now, type of thing.
Yeah, listen to us just talk up our own podcast.
I know, right? And today's Nick's birthday, and happy birthday, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one that created that song for us.
Yeah, it's October 21st. So thank you, Nick. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, it's cool. He whipped it up in 5 minutes.
I want to think it took him hours and hours of labored, like he had a bunch of paper and he's crumpling it up, no, this isn't right.
He tossed his laptop.
Yeah, right.
Fuck it. We'll do it live. Maybe he did before he actually sent it to me.
Right, yeah.
It's I've been up for 3 days. Yeah. Sweating his deek off.
I know, man.
So happy birthday.
It's a good day. It's a good day to be born. I would think so, right? It's leading up to Halloween.
Yeah.
There's nothing really else around. It's a good time to party.
Yeah, my stepdad's birthday was the 18th, and my dad's birthday was the 19th.
Nice.
All right in a row there.
Wow, that's a good way to do it. Have them clumped up together like that. Makes it easy.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Good planning.
Ooh, that is
I know,
strong.
right?
I think it's the sheesh.
Yeah, it might be the sheesh.
Yeah, that's how I used to buy it. Strong as fuck.
Yeah.
Sitting in that molasses for like, who knows how long it's sat in that. It's got a bitter taste.
It's got a flavor. That'll wake you up.
Kiwi strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
Aged.
A little bit of mint too.
Okay.
Mix it up.
Yeah, it's aged.
Aged for sure. So, man, you've been flying all over the place. I want to hear about this. I've been waiting. Right. I didn't want to bring it up before the podcast because I want to hear it all fresh.
Honestly, in the back of my mind, I was wondering. I was like, does he know I went to Tennessee? He didn't ask me about it. No, you stayed strong. I admire that. And I did want to do a phone thing, and the only time I could think about doing it was because I had to wait for the flight on the way home. But then that day ended up being busy, so I should have thought I had a little bit more, but just didn't work out. But
yeah, and then I wasn't quite sure when you meant afternoon, what time in the afternoon, and then pretty much the whole day I was like in planning mode, planning for this wedding that I was doing that day, making sure my camera equipment's all set and good to go, and that my Jeep's good to go to get me there and all that stuff. So, but yeah, anyway, let me hear about this trip, man.
Yeah,
I'm
anyway,
so excited to hear about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
just give you the finer details.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I flew to Nashville last week on Tuesday, and let's see, it was a great trip. Nashville, Music City. My overall, what I took away from it is that Nashville is a southern city that is under construction everywhere you go.
Really?
There has been, we talked to some locals, and there's been and I already kind of knew about it, but there's been a mass influx of people. Probably, they said, it's probably starting about 10 years ago, but like it's really kicked up over the past 3 or 4 years. And the whole city is just under construction. They're like revitalizing their downtown,
make it
condos,
to where people can,
buildings. Yes.
Yeah.
But what they have not, or what they have been unprepared for, is their freeways being so inundated with people. So freeways cut. We stayed near the airport, which is just slightly out of town, probably about 15 minutes from the heart of their downtown. So not a very big city. But
and Nashville, traffic, is it more in the eastern part of the state?
It's like dead middle.
Oh,
pretty much in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much in the middle. Yeah. And it's their capital. It's got the Country Music Hall of Fame. It's got venues up and down place and music studio. We went to Newfound Glory's recording their album there right now.
Really?
And so I had been tracking them on Instagram, hoping they'd give some kind of clue as to where they were recording. And finally, one day, their drummer actually tagged the studio they were in Instagram.
Ooh.
So the next day, I mapped it out, found it, and I was like, hey, we're going to go drive by the studio, and I'm just going to get my picture out in front of it.
Yeah.
And just so I could say, like, oh, I was here when they were recording their album. So we find it, and it's just some, like, really, like, studio just on a random street, nothing like too big about it. It's a blue building.
Describe, is it just a normal building? Is it
just
like a
normal
house?
Just a normal building, 1-story building, all painted in like a blue, like the shirt Sean's wearing. It's like a kind of like a sky blue, maybe a little bit darker.
Yeah.
And then they had like one big main building and one building off to the side, and then just the name of the studio. And honestly, right now I can't even think of what the name is. Because when I got there, I started, like, sweating. I was, like, so nervous. Like, what if I ran into them or something? I was getting, like, really, like, weird. And then, so Kyle, my girlfriend, took my picture. And then I was like, all right, let's go. And then she's like, no, we're going to try to go inside and stuff like that. And I was like, I did not want to do it. I thought it would be weird.
I'm Matt Winnie, Cannon Blue Records. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you've heard.
So some guy, like, walks out of one of the buildings. And Kylan, she just walks up to him and is just
I would imagine it would be, like, almost, like, you'd have to buzz in to, like, actually walk in type of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Just knowing that there are actual famous artists in there.
Exactly. And I was just like, I don't want to just be some schmo, like, poking his head around because he knows this band is in there, like some groupie or weirdo. And so I was, like, really, really fine with just getting my picture or whatever. But this guy came out. She's like, hey, can we go inside? And he's like, yeah. So he just, like, opens the front door for us, and I'm just like, oh, my God, what are we doing,
Here we go.
So we walk in, and there's just, like, a little desk, and then there's, like, some dudes sitting on a couch, and they're like on their computers, and then this like guy who's about our age, just wearing a baseball hat, like walks out. He's like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, what can I help you with?" And then she was like, "Oh, we were hoping to like walk around." And he's like, "Well, we got like a bunch of people here right now. Like, I can't really show you any of the rooms, but I can answer any questions you have." And he's looking at me, and I go, "Nope, no questions, thanks."
Oh.
And he's like, "Are you sure? Because like, you know, I don't mind talking to you or whatever." And I was like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah.
And then it was so awkward, and I'm like sweating, and then it kind of just was like, "We want to know if Newfound Glory's here. He would like to meet him." And he's like, "Yeah," and then he's like, they were just here yesterday, tracking drums, like very nonchalant.
And that's why the drummer.
did it.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you just missed them, you know, like they're here in Nashville though, recording for like 5 weeks." And then she's like, "Do you know where they're at now?" He's like, "Honestly, I can't say." But then the guy stood there and talked to us for like a half hour. He told us about how Jewel cut her first album there.
Really?
And Taylor Swift cut a song there when she was like 14. And then gave us a little background on Music Row, which is where we were, which is a side of like all these old school recording studios, like really famous ones and stuff like that, and how they're all being torn down and there's like buildings going up everywhere,
like
and how kind of
and
sad
shit.
it is. Yeah.
Bummer.
And then literally like right across the street there was like a condo being
tearing
built.
down history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and he had been there for like 10 years, and he just said like, yeah, it's like bittersweet to watch all these people come in because they're kind of taking away what was the initial draw of the city. It's called Music City and stuff like that. So he was really cool. He could have just talked to us and stuff. And, you know, I felt like a lot better after that, you know, and then he gave us some like cool ideas of like places to check out. Super friendly. Everyone in the room was friendly. They were all chiming in, talking to us and stuff like that. And the reason I talk about that is because we ended up going to this breakfast place the next morning called Monell's, and it's called Country Style Breakfast. And what you do, it was recommended to me by a coworker who had lived there for a while, and what you do is you go in and you get seated at a big table, and you actually get seated like next with a big group of other people.
Family style.
Yeah. Totally foreign to me.
Yeah.
And it's a big buffet where they just come and bring you food, and you're just passing the food around and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking good.
So you just
so
pay
good.
for like
it's a one
whatever
time.
They're serving. You pick what you want as
it comes.
By.
They literally hand it around.
Okay.
So there was like pancakes, eggs, biscuits and gravy, cinnamon rolls, fried chicken, you know, and then they had all the toppings and stuff like that. Oh, fresh sliced ham and fresh platters of bacon and sausage and stuff. I mean, just so there was these two guys sitting there when we walked in, and they were like, they had like such the drawl. And the one guy was taking his friend there, and he had been there obviously a bunch of times, and he's telling him and telling the rest of the table, he's like, "Go slow, save room, the food'll keep coming." You know, it's the best food you'll ever have. And we were like, hell yeah, you know. And then we ended up like striking up a conversation with them because he's asking like where we're from. And they turned out to be like two musicians. Like one guy had like toured with this band that was like pretty big back in like the early 2000s. So he was like, "Oh, I played San Diego, you know, I played in this like theater and like all this stuff." And we talked to them for probably almost an hour, like after breakfast. Just they were very talkative, and almost we had to like pull ourselves away, you know. And even after a while, he was like, "All right, let's let them go now," you know, because like that's just the hospitality they have there. So that was a lot of it. And then to skip ahead a little bit too, I got a tattoo while I was there. This place called Victory Tattoo. It's where Newfound Glory has shot their music video.
All right,
last
so let me
year.
ask. Was this completely out of the blue, or were you planning, you know, like, you know what? I'm going to be somewhere that's interesting and fun. Let me check it out, some tattoo places, see if there's anything I like. Or were you like, oh, there's a tattoo place. I got an idea.
This tattoo place I've been following on Instagram for like 2 years, as it turns out. And finally, like 2 days before we left, I emailed them and asked if they had any openings. They did. They had me call. I called, and I just booked it. Because I was like, I'm going to be on vacation. I want to get this tattoo done. How cool. I'm going to do it at this place that I've been checking out. And, you know, it just worked out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So they got me in on, like, Friday. And so. But anyway, my tattoo artist was new to Nashville from California. He'd only been out there, like, 2 or 3 months.
What part of California?
Northern California, like San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
So it was really cool after a couple days in Nashville to have this guy with the same perspective basically as us and be able to like talk about how like weird the things we thought were weird. One being the way people drive out there is terrible. Like they
really
don't have
slow, or they aggressive?
The rental car guy warned me about this too, is that they don't have any kind of driver's education out there, and it's not mandated.
Just in the specific state in Tennessee?
In Tennessee, yeah. So people don't drive aggressive, but they don't drive cautiously. They don't signal.
Okay.
They just there's
no etiquette. There's no
etiquette.
Oh.
There's no distinction of fast lanes and slow lanes.
Okay.
They just kind of go for it, and you're just caught in
That's
it.
like third world craziness. Yeah. Oh shit.
And it was apparent as soon as I got on the road from the airport.
Yeah.
That I was in another level of driving right there.
Shit.
So we talked about that, and then the main thing
did he upsell you and trying to get more insurance?
He did, but no, he was a really the rental car guy too was from California, oddly enough, and he was just telling me, he's like, you think it's like crazy out there with the traffic. He's like, people just suck at driving. He didn't really try to like sell the extra insurance. He was just telling me like man to man, like, hey, it's hard out there. Be ready. He said he'd been in 8 accidents. None of them were his fault.
Wow.
Where he was just hit by other people, and I was like, fuck. I still didn't get the extra insurance.
Crazy.
But the what we talked about with the tattoo guy was that he's just like, it's weird out here because you'll be walking down the street and someone will say hi to you, and your initial reaction
what do you want from
is
me?
like, what do you want from me? And he's like, that doesn't exist out here.
Yeah.
And then we were like, it makes so much sense, because we like talked to those guys all morning at breakfast and stuff. And he's like, no. He's like, I've had to pull myself away from so many conversations to just be on time for things, because everyone will talk to you if you engage them.
And go for it, yeah.
And it was just, that's what we encountered the whole time there. And that was like a really cool, but also like really weird thing to get used to. Because even, we ended up going to a bar Friday night downtown. And that's a whole other thing to talk about. But I went up to the bartender to ask a question, and in the middle of craziness, getting drinks for everyone, he just stopped and talked to me. And I was like, and he didn't act like I was bothering him or anything like that. And it was just like, what? Like, you'll never get that out here, ever. Like, and then he said it too. It's like,
unless it's dead in the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Even then, the bartender's like, I gotta do something else besides talk to you.
So in Nashville, Broadway is their main downtown scene. It's right next to this big river, the Cumberland River. They've got everything right there. They got a huge music venue. They got a Bridgestone Arena, which is their ice hockey rink. Plus, it doubles as like a concert venue. Right across the river, they have Tennessee Titans Stadium. So it's all kind of like this waterfront. There's a walking bridge across the river, which is really neat.
I think I remember a bunch of your snaps that you guys took.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I remember seeing, I'm like, oh, that's where the Titans play. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sweet, like, following both your guys' like, point of view as you guys were traveling through Snapchat.
Yeah, we were trying to, document as much as possible. And so what's cool about their downtown scene is just, like, it's one row, basically, of buildings, and then pretty much
it's not very big, right? The actual city itself, where, like, the cool stuff is.
Right. No, it's not. Like, it's one block, basically.
Yeah.
Everything there is pretty much a multi-storied bar or something with live music going on. And we didn't go out till the last night when my friend Bill showed up to come hang out, being in the South. He's from Georgia. So, like, he made, like, a long trek out to come see us.
So he specifically came out from Georgia? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
sweet. He was saying he wanted to get back to Nashville, plus
that's cool.
I was in town, so we were just like, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Plus, randomly, another coworker of us from Costco was out there visiting family.
Perfect
staying
timing.
in a hotel 3 minutes from us. So
what are the odds?
We picked him up, too. We got an Uber into town that night.
Yeah.
What shows up? This old black dude with a hand-rolled cigarette in a Chevy Silverado. That was our Uber. And he was like, didn't even talk like the whole time until we made a joke about being able to walk down the street drinking a martini. And he goes, just like that. We were like, I was like, where's this Uber going? This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen right now.
Martini.
And he's smoking while he's driving us too.
Right,
and that's
right.
the thing, you can smoke everywhere there. Like, it's
so it's
part of the social.
Right.
Not in restaurants I didn't see, but
The
anywhere
bar
out in the
scene
street
is
and
totally
everything.
fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, the main downtown is like, what's so cool about it is that there was a hockey game that night too. So when it got out, they knew there was going to be it's right there, so it's going to be influx of people. So what they do, they just shut down half the street, so you can just walk in the street.
No cars can go.
No cars.
That's awesome. Just
And
walking.
I'm like, this is fucking badass.
Yeah.
You could just like have a drink somewhere, go to the next place or whatever. Like. It's cool because there's a lot of options, but it's all in one block.
Right.
And you don't have that anxiety of choice as much, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because kind of everything is going on.
I feel like it
place.
would even slow down a little bit more when it comes to like the chaotic atmosphere if you go downtown on a busy night where there's just traffic, honking, the streets are packed, everyone's like trying to get from one place to another. I feel like if there's no cars, no traffic, at least people have a lot more room to walk, get from point A to point B to point C, D, and keep on going.
Yeah, it's
so
all
cool.
concentrated.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then we ended up going to like one place. It's like super cheap party like atmosphere. There was like AstroTurf on the floor and stuff like that. It was like like a really cool like cover band was playing.
Oh, nice.
They were playing everything too.
Did you guys look up any places, or you're like, let's just go walk and see what looks like a good place to check out?
Yeah, I pretty much the whole time I was there, I hit up this friend of mine who lived out there for 2 years, and I was like, hey, any recommendations? And like the day I got there, he sent me this massive text of all these recommendations. So we were kind of like going off what he said.
Okay, cool.
To places to eat and check out. So when it came down to coming downtown, like I said, my friend Bill came out. We got an Uber. We met up with this other guy, Chris. So the four of us kind of like went downtown, and we just kind of wandered. And then I found a couple of the places on the list and just went in and checked them out. And then we ended up at a bar called Acme, and that was recommended to me by the music studio guy. And it was really bitchin'. It was like at the very end of Broadway, right before you get to the river. We wanted to go on one of the rooftop bars because everyone was advertising rooftop. I was like, yeah, let's go up there, and like we could see the whole Broadway or whatever. And finally we got down there, and it was like a huge line, but we got in super quick and then made our way to the top. So did everyone else. And
so you just had like a badass view?
A badass view of the downtown scene. Yeah, and we kind of just held up there for like 4 hours.
Why wouldn't you?
Like,
Hell yeah.
Beers, and I bought cigars for like me and Bill. We were just like token cigars and like, just like finally like relaxing.
Man, get that cigar.
And you go down to the center floor. There's like a band playing. And then you go down below that, there's like a DJ playing.
Oh, nice. Multi-level, pick your poison type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was just chill, like, even just like talking to people here and there, bumming like a lighter or whatever. Just everyone was just super friendly, just like down to talk, like want to know. I mean, we went to a grocery store one day, and people just right away, they're like, oh, where are you from? We're like San Diego. Oh, cool. Never been out there. How is it and stuff like that, and just really cool. Like the people were definitely like the highlight of the trip,
right?
And we had really great weather. Like it's usually pretty humid. It was nice and cool and cloudy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, even a little rain, but not that bad. So.
Oh, that's badass. So exactly how long were you out there for? Just a few days, a couple of days?
About 4 days.
4 days?
Yeah. Tuesday. No, we flew out Wednesday, came back Saturday night. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Had really a short layover in Denver on the way there, and then a short layover in Houston on the way back.
Cool.
Just, yeah.
That's
pretty flawless trip. Yeah.
It's too bad the recording studio guy didn't give you a handshake, wink at you. You might find glory at this bar at this time.
Believe me, I was stalking all their Instagram accounts, looking for little hints of...
Right. Just maybe what neighborhood are they going to be around? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were in a house somewhere.
Yeah,
they're still there. He honestly didn't know where they were going after.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's like, a lot of people just show up and record one thing, and then they go. And those guys at breakfast, the one guy owned a recording studio, and the other guy was like one of his artists he was working with. The guy was from Alabama. and they were like super cool. And then we talked about music, of course, and I gave them each copies of my album because they were like, "Oh, that's so cool!" And they do this similar thing with they make compilations and put them out.
Oh,
so
cool!
I got
Did
to,
you
find them on Facebook and
badass.
whatever? So it was cool. They were definitely neat people.
Yeah, the only time I've done a family-style dinner like that was out in Texas when I was younger, visiting my dad out in Houston. And just being a young kid who's like, oh, we got to sit with all these strangers. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, once you get
it's
in
weird.
there and you're in it, it's like totally a fun experience.
Yeah.
And of course, the food's always good. And
it was amazing.
It's just an odd atmosphere to kind of.
It
like,
is.
All right, I'm sitting with these
Especially
people.
in California, like, when I realized what was happening, I looked over at Kyla and she was like frozen.
Oh,
up,
yeah.
Like, what? And then so I was like, okay, well, I got to be cool about this. So,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, she's cool. But
Yeah.
it only took a matter of like a minute
Exactly.
before
Once you
like
get
everyone
going.
was talking to each other and stuff.
Yeah.
And like a girl across from us, she was, I think it was like her aunt or someone was visiting Nashville. And she had been from the East Coast, you know, and just, you know, you got a bunch of stories from everybody. And it was so good. Bill showed up that night. And we took him back there the next day.
Nice.
And the next day, for whatever reason, the first day we didn't have to wait. The next day, that's right, it was Saturday. So it's like super packed. We had to wait an hour to be seated or whatever. Yeah. But I was like, well, it's worth it. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it was like $16.
That's
so
not bad.
It's not
when
terrible.
You think about it, yeah.
And the first day we went to this other place called the Pancake Pantry, and that's like a famous spot because people will line up around the block to get in, and it has pictures of people waiting, like the snow and the rain and all this stuff. And we only waited like 15 minutes to get in, and the food and the pancakes were delicious. Mm-hmm. But it was also like, man, this is such a like tourist trap kind of place.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I was like, why is there always a line? Just because they say there's a line? Like, It was cool though. I enjoyed it, but it was
good marketing.
It was. They had T-shirts with people standing in a line on the T-shirt. I'm like, you're really selling it.
Yeah, they're selling the experience of standing in a line, waiting for a basic thing like pancakes, which I'm sure were probably dank and delicious.
They were really good.
Probably like have all these different toppings and making me hungry for breakfast food.
I know. I'm never like a real breakfast person either, but having fresh eggs and pancakes and fried chicken, I was just like, oh my god. and then that Friday night, like, we got an Uber back to the hotel. It was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning. By this point, we went to a Waffle House and I was like, finally, I ate it. It was actually really good. Probably because I was pretty drunk, but yeah. What else? Real quick.
You guys went to a Costco.
Yeah, I checked out the Costco.
Yeah.
Same layout as
sure.
the Poway Costco. It was eerie.
Yeah.
Nothing. What's interesting out there, though, is they have a separate... It's in the same building, but it's a separate store for the alcohol.
Oh,
they
really?
They can't sell beer or hard alcohol in the Costco. They can only sell wine. Oh. So they have a separate business outside.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and I guess it's like that through the South. Is what I learned.
Okay, yeah.
It was interesting.
They definitely have different rules and laws because the whole prohibition and all that, they've got weird laws and regulations.
Blue laws.
Blue laws is what they're called, huh?
Yep.
Ah.
And I think, I don't know about, it's like county to county different things.
Oh, yeah. You really need to know when you go from county to county, like, can I travel with alcohol, like across the county lines type of stuff? It's like, it's weird.
And then I had mapped out a couple breweries to try.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking around downtown, and I've got this like little map of like things I want to hit up. And so I show up to this brewery, and I'm like, sweet, let's get. It's about like 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, well, let's get some beer. Yeah. Walk in. We don't open till 5.
Oh.
Okay. So I make my way down to the next brewery. We don't open till 5 o'clock. And I was like, oh, it's definitely not San Diego where I could go in at 11.
Right. Exactly.
And start drinking beer.
You guys do things differently.
Yeah. And we also went to. Jack White has his Third Man Records studio store in like little venue in downtown Nashville, but it's like on the outside of downtown, and it's the weirdest thing because you walk past like these old warehouses and kind of like, I don't want to say decrepit looking buildings. It's definitely like the older side of Nashville, but like, I guess you call them more ghetto areas, but it's nothing like ghetto areas in San Diego.
Right.
They, it's like I might have saw one homeless person really like the whole time we were there. But it was cool. So went into that store, and he's got like all these really cool vinyl presses of like everything he's ever done, plus his artists he works with and stuff, and they were all like super reasonably priced, you know.
Yeah, if Jack White's there, it's probably the up and coming new hipster area that everyone's going to start buying property and opening up little specialty boutique places and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and start growing.
It had that feel.
Yeah. Was it like brick buildings? Like that's
brick.
what I'm picturing, like old school brick and ironwork and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome.
A lot of where we had that country style breakfast, it was what we came to find out was like on the north side, like a really like posh area of Nashville where homes were like super expensive. And I noticed like a lot of buildings, because they had old brick buildings that are super narrow, just because that's how they built them, you know.
Right.
But a lot of them had these like extensions off the back, and I saw that same kind of architectural like pattern in a lot of different places where really they built on like a ton of extra space. Obviously, in the front of the building is all brick, and the rest of it's just regular like wood and panels and stuff like that, which is really cool. But you know, I made some purchases. I bought like a vinyl at the store, and then was talking to the girl at the counter, and she's like, "Well, where are you guys from?" I was like, "San Diego." She's like, "Oh, I'm from Mission Viejo." You know, it's like a lot of transplants and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, is Nashville kind of, do you think it's more of a transplant city? A lot of people are just looking for something different, kind of travel, flock to Nashville for something different. Yeah,
that's what was reflected to everyone we talked to. Their property prices have gone up like drastically, even though it's still better than out here. But they were like, it's crazy what property's going for now, especially in that downtown area. We didn't really get to visit like the suburb area, which I had wanted to do, but there just wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
What's trippy out there is like all the property, everyone's property, they don't have fences.
Oh, yeah?
That is such a weird thing.
Just open front yard type thing?
Yeah, open front yard, backyard, your neighbors and stuff. Like, there's no fences dividing
weird.
property lines.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's just how they do it. I mean, eventually, you would see some, but it really just wasn't a thing. And that in California, like, everything is fenced off. So you're just like, I can't imagine not. It was just weird.
Yeah.
It was just cool, though, you know.
Did you guys look into, like, rental prices or anything like that? Like, an idea of, like, affordability and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, it's just cheaper.
Oh, yeah. All around cheaper.
You could get... I mean, what I rent is, like, a one-bedroom apartment here for, like, $10.75, which is cheap here.
Oh, dirt cheap here. I was just looking up, like, the statistics, like, the new average, and... $10.75 for a one bedroom. That's dirt cheap. I think the average has got to be upwards to like $13.50.
$13.50,
yeah, something like that. And then a two bedroom is upwards to $2,000, $1,800 to $2,000. 3 bedroom, keep going up. 4 bedroom, for some reason, I think it drops down. Something weird happens at 4 bedroms or something.
Probably because of the lack of availability.
Because they're more for families, but most families can't afford a place that is $3,000 a month for whatever, $4,000.
Right.
But yeah, the prices here, the rental prices here, are completely inflated, and just it's ridiculous. And they're pricing a lot of people out of the city, which sucks.
Basically, out there, for what we pay here, we could get a really nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment.
Yeah.
Is what with amenities and everything, because we have 0 amenities at our place.
Oh, right.
No balcony, no, nothing.
No, really.
But you could get like a real nice, modern, updated, probably 2-bedroom for $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
You know. So, definitely. And then houses are going for, you could get a nice family home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath for like $175,000, $200,000. With
actual purchasing and
with land,
with some land,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goddamn, that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's always weird to me to hear these prices. It's crazy that how because I am in kind of the real estate game. At least on the outwards, like I'm taking photos of a lot of different properties and things like that, and some of these places that I hear, like what they're trying to rent them for, what they're trying to sell these places for, it's just like, wow. This is insane.
Yeah,
and a lot of these places too. They're just like people just flip these houses and they're just trying to make a couple extra $grand or something on this place. It's just silly what people are doing. I get it. I guess it adds up.
Honestly, I
just
came
seems
back
like too much of a hassle.
I came back looking into buying a condo out here just to rent it out.
Oh,
because
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
if I could find something on the cheaper end,
Yeah,
it's just
dude.
crazy what people are making money off of it. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's another point. Nashville was really cool, though. Like, I'd definitely go back there.
Yeah.
There was obviously
Would it
there
be
just
somewhere?
wasn't enough
Would
time.
you be willing to live there from this one first experience, this little taste? Would you be willing to like go there, live there, check it out, do it for a year or two, immerse yourself?
I think so. I think I got nothing but good vibes from it.
Right. Yeah.
There just wasn't enough time to take in everything.
Yeah.
But I was like, it met like my expectations, you know.
Good.
as
That's
like,
awesome.
And you know what was really cool too? Even though the freeways were really bad, everywhere else you went, always parking, even downtown.
Mm-hmm. Do they have city bikes and like it? Like,
Yeah.
is it
Oh
good
yeah,
to,
there
like,
was a
get
bunch
around?
of city
Oh,
bikes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good.
They have all the rideshare, Uber and Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
Lyft is like advertised everywhere.
Oh, that's important. That's
yeah,
great.
which is kind of cool. You know, they have a full-scale replica of the Parthenon from Greece.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something I knew about, but I was like, let's go check it out. And it was fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah.
How big it is. And it was built in 1897.
Wow.
Which was crazy. And then Kylan, they charge admission to go inside. Kylan snuck in.
Oh, really?
And I didn't know. I was in the
Were you
gift
like,
shop. I was in the gift shop,
where
and I
is
get
she?
a call, and it's her. And I'm like, where are you? And then she's like, I'm behind the ticket taker. And she's inside, and I was just like, oh, hey, there you are. And I just walked in. And then no one said anything to us. And I was like, and inside was just even more crazy. It just had actually all that was inside was like a photo, an art exhibit, and then this huge statue of Athena.
It was golden, right?
Gold statue of Athena. And then these giant brass doors that someone had constructed.
Wow.
And that was just crazy, just how big it was.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just...
It was all built in 18 whatever you
1897.
1897.
At
Wow.
least the Parthenon itself.
Mhm.
They were celebrating 100 years as a city. So they built this whole park, Centennial Park. And it has like a big pond and some like running trails and then the Parthenon. But everywhere you went, even there's always somewhere to park. I was just like, even downtown, there's meters, but you could easily find a non-metered parking place and stuff like that. So
that's good.
That was just different. You know, it was just like, because everywhere I went to go, or in my mind, I kind of like, all right, let's do this. We're gonna go. We gotta find it, and it's just like, it's different. It's just slower.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not as hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
And that was definitely being from California. I was just like, wow, this is like
that's
really
got to be
cool.
a nice like just okay. Wow, I can actually just relax and kind of get from one place to another without having to like worry about how do I have to hunt for parking for a half an hour or spend $20 just to park somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And you know, if I did go, I feel like if you did go live there for like a year at least, like you could see that you'd slowly get into that mindset
rhythm,
too,
yeah.
where like it'd probably be kind of hard to come back. I feel like, especially being older.
Yeah.
You know, talking to the tattoo guy again, like he's from San Francisco. Everyone's just jam packed in that area, and they decided to move out there. And then he's like, we're looking into like building building a house. He's like, I've lived my whole life, you know, in apartments, sharing walls with people, and he's like, I'm done with it. And he's like, that's why we came out here. We can get our own place. He's like, I don't even care if I have to commute.
It's freedom.
You know, we'll have our own house and get away from it all, kind of thing. I was like, yeah, hell yeah.
A little homestead, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I feel like a lot of people, at least there's certain people that are gravitating more towards that state of thinking, of just having your own little piece of property, setting up a nice little plot of land. You're not side by side, especially if you grew up in an apartment, man, or clustered into like a city, urban setting. It's just... Man, it really wears on you. And I know, like, New Yorkers, they're proud of that whole, like, we're, like, in the mix of it, the city that never sleeps, but it makes you crazy after a while. And you just, at a certain point, you just want to be able to go home, relax, not hear the neighbors' loud music, or hear their TV, or hear people arguing, or hear traffic all the time, you know, just, or hear sirens that are just, like, it's romantic when you're younger, but at a certain point, it gets to a point where you just need a little peace and quiet just so you can think and get back to your thoughts. And grow some food and
Yeah.
raise some chickens and shit. Do some fun things.
Yep. I think if you're a younger, professional making like really good money, San Diego's like a great, fun place with so much to do. I mean, it is even if you're not making a ton of money, but I'm just saying to like really like indulge yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely doable to have a good time. Man, San Diego is just it's a great city. It definitely has its downfalls. Only because we've lived here our entire lives, we kind of know the ins and outs of it. But from the other places I've visited, especially like Texas and Houston and Galveston and some places like in North and South Carolina and places in Georgia, there are just like some really amazing places that you can do a lot more in with a lot less money. You can, if you have dreams of starting your own business, it's probably a lot easier to do it outside of San Diego or even in California, unfortunately, because
That's what I was wondering,
it's
too.
just an expensive-ass state to get anything done and just to live.
That's what I kind of felt like, too. Like, if you did want to, like, kind of go your own route, start a business, I could see you moving to Nashville, a place like Nashville, where it's got a lot of people and probably a pretty strong economy.
Yep.
And the pace is just a little, like, probably a little bit less competitive, I guess you could say. Where you could really kind of like take your time, find a Nashville shithole apartment. Probably, it's probably like a decent apartment too.
Oh yeah,
that's only going to cost you like $500-600 a month.
Yeah, because a shithole apartment here in San Diego is going to cost you a lot, and it's literally, it's not going to be a great place to live. You're going to be living further down south or more in like a ghetto-ish area where your car will get broken into, your shit will get stolen, you'll probably not have the greatest night's sleep all the time because people will be calling the cops, and I'm sure every city has those areas.
And you're going to drive far to get to work.
Oh,
even if it's just a minimum wage paying job.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even if you did more of your research in that area, you could probably find areas just on the outskirts that are really cheap rental houses or even cheap property to buy eventually. It's out there.
The locals there were telling us that East Nashville was a place 5 years ago where you didn't really go unless you were carrying. It was very that way.
Right. Yeah,
and now it is flopped 100% where it's like the hipster place to go. They've all moved in.
That's what happens.
Transplants have moved in. And then even then they're like, everyone I talked to was like, yeah, this, and this is a bummer, but it's also actually really good.
Yeah.
They were also kind of like, we're it's good. It's got definitely good and bad, but I feel like they were very fair weather about it. It's bringing in people, it's bringing in money, it's growth, socially, economically.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of positives for the city and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you could really, driving into Nashville, my girlfriend counted like 15 cranes, in the skyline. Because, like, wow, there is so much growth going on here.
Yep.
And it's kind of neat to kind of venture into a place with very old roots and stuff, and to see this like kind of like new expansion and growth and see how things are shifting and stuff. It's a really cool thing, especially to get those insider perspectives on it.
Oh, yeah.
Was like really valuable, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And just made it, that much better to visit.
So do you guys have any other places you plan on visiting, or like how did you guys even come to picking a city like Nashville? They're like, hey, let's just go visit this place for...
Nashville was a place I had in mind. I just thought, like a couple years ago, I thought like moving out of state, moving to like a place like Austin, which I'd heard so many good things about, but Austin's like more of like everybody already went there, and now it's like it's become something else, and it's expensive and everything.
Yep.
And then I don't know how I just found out like, oh well, Nashville is kind of like that too, and it's just always been on my mind. And I think I just kind of sold my girlfriend on it, like And then we were like, during summer, I think we were both like, we need to like just go somewhere, like we've got vacation time, let's go. And we were gonna go to Denver because I have some family out there, and it's a cool place to visit.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, you know what, we should just go to Nashville because neither of us have been there. And then we just were like, all right, let's do that instead.
Yeah.
So that was about it. I personally want to go back up to the Northwest and go to Washington and go to Seattle and stuff that.
Yeah.
Because I've been a couple times, but I was young. I guess, of like places to check out. Like I want to go check out.
Yeah.
What was really weird about Nashville that is that there's no mountains. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like it's 100% flat like the plains or anything, but it's just like there's no mountains. You know, and we met this girl at the bar on Friday, and she was from there, but had been living in L.A. for the past like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the same thing. She's like, I love living in L.A. There was all these mountains to go climb and go check everything out and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, see, that's like a really, you know, you kind of take it for granted, but it's different when there's none there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think further east, the Appalachians, I'm pretty sure Tennessee has got some play with the Appalachians.
On the east side.
Yeah, in the middle of the state. Yeah, I do remember being in a couple of states just like looking around because growing up in Ramona, we're surrounded by mountains. So it's just like you're always, and even just in San Diego, you look east and all you see are mountains. So it's just, it would be weird to like, it is weird to be like looking around. You're like, what the fuck? There's no mountains. This is not right.
Yeah, it's weird to like you and here too. You gauge everything. I gauge kind of everything by where you're at along the coast.
Yes,
and there's no coast, so automatically I started gauging everything there about where the river was because the river ran right in the middle of the city.
And that's exactly how they would have done it way back in the day. It was like, okay, where's the river? You know, where can we go? Because the river is like key.
Yep.
It's that guiding point.
Yep. Exactly.
Man, that's so awesome. Yeah. Nashville has definitely been a city on my list that I've always wanted to visit. So now that Matt Whitney's given it the stamp of approval, hopefully I will definitely make my way out there, especially now that I'm going to be having the camper van next year. So I do plan on heading out east and hitting up a bunch of different places. And, so I'm going to have to add Nashville definitely to the list of places to go. So that's so exciting. I'm so glad that you guys went out there just to do it. Just to do it as two people that have never been anywhere before. And I wish more people would do that. And maybe people do, especially when you get older and you're just like, hey, let's just go check out Seattle. Let's go check out New York, or let's go check out whatever city.
I think my ideal thing to check out cities, and I would have loved to do it for this trip, but time constraints were there, is to drive their places and then fly back.
Right, yeah.
I think ideally, because I do like driving. I feel like driving out there, because it's really fucking far out there. You know, I didn't really understand the scope till I looked at the map, and I was like, wow, we're really far east right now. But then driving, you get the better sense of how far you are and where you're at. Yeah. Flying is like cheating. And it's just like, okay, now, we flew like 5 hours, and then I was just like, okay, now we're here, and it just didn't feel like we were that far away.
Right.
And I like having that frame of reference of like, wow, we're really far. And then you get to fly home because it's the easier way. You're tired and you just kind of want to go home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Ideally, that I really do want to take a trip back to Denver, and that I'll definitely drive because that's a really awesome drive.
Yeah, I can imagine it being really, really picturesque just heading up there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another city on my list too.
Definitely.
Colorado in general. I would love to just experience all the different Boulder, Denver, beautiful. all the different little cities that are all around there.
We landed in Denver and it was 32 degrees.
Oh,
so it's like
a big difference.
Yeah, we were like,
kind of a
whoa!
contrast.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Yeah, so it's different.
Yeah, that would have been a much different trip if you guys headed up to Colorado instead of going to Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Like, oh man, I've got so much questions, but I know it's got to be such a fun city, and just the history with music and everything has got to be amazing. Could you tell that it was just a place that bred creativity when it came to that? Why do you think it became Music City? Like, why? I mean, did they explain it, or was it just recording studios were able to pop up there, and it just, if you build it, they will come type of thing?
Yeah, it was like a country music. My girlfriend's
yeah, it's not let's go out to Hollywood, record our album. No, let's go to Nashville and record our album. Yeah.
Well, even my girlfriend's grandma, she lived there briefly in like I guess that would have been the 80s, and they lived in like a nicer part of town, and they had, and she listed them, but I wasn't familiar. But like big country stars and stuff were in their neighborhood,
just living, and
I think people just started congregating there and recording there.
Yeah.
And she said it's not even like there were these superstars we see today. They were still like normal everyday people.
Oh, right,
you see at the grocery store.
They're just still just trying to make it work, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I'm going to try my music. I'm going to see what I can do with this. And
the guy that we talked to at breakfast that had his recording studio, he's like, people just drop in. Or he's like, I'll be cutting an album, and we're like, hey, we need like someone to play drums. Someone will be around. Someone's in earshot or text. Or, like they'll just show up and play drums. You know, like it's a very like communal, like rotating group of people that everyone's just playing with everyone else,
wow,
and then something kind of comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's got to be something just with the collective energy of all these different musicians coming together that are collaborating without even intentionally doing it, and just coming up with some pretty badass music. And I enjoy country music. I don't know, I haven't really, to be honest, really listened to the latest stuff. To me, it's very, very poppy and stuff, and it's not really country music really anymore.
They were very critical of that, too, out there.
Yeah, I could imagine
because these big pop country people now are coming in and putting their name, signing deals and putting their names on bars and stuff as like a means of like very tourist attractions, and like the locals were very like, we don't really kind of like that because it's kind of like they compared it to like Jimmy Buffett, like Margaritaville kind of thing. Like it's pretty much the same business model.
Yeah, that's it.
And it kind of they feel like it kind of takes away from like the soul of it because it's just being like played out and marketed and stuff like that.
I do agree with that for sure, especially if you're one of the old school people that've been around there forever.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but it is kind of like a mecca, especially for country music. But not anymore too. It's just like all kinds of music. You got Jack White there. I mean, that he's picking off influences from all over, all kinds of different genres, and coming up with like amazingly unique, good music. Yeah.
Well, let's jump to a quick thing. I know we're getting close to the end, but let's just jump into the debate. I know. Kind of caught the tail end of it, and I kind of watched. I kind of missed the first maybe like 10, 15 minutes of it just because I kind of forgot about it. But I definitely did want to watch it, so I was just like, okay,
this is the only debate
Trump
I
and
watched.
Hillary back on there again. This is the first election cycle that I've actually made an attempt to actually watch the debates.
Oh, okay.
At least the entire debates. I've watched previously, just a quick mashup of what they were discussing. Just because usually my candidate is never in the debates. Like I was, for the last, like, Ron Paul, I was very much into Ron Paul and more libertarian and not, like, the Republican and Democrat candidates that were shoved in front of us, and I'm still not happy with what we have, and more than likely it will be Hillary. I think there's no doubt about that now, which is really crazy and unfortunate because not that I think that Trump would have been a much better president or anything like that. I just think it would have been harder to get away with doing certain things like getting us involved in more war and Syria and all the shit that the average American doesn't. We're done. We're kind of done with war. We've been doing it for a long, long time, and we're just like, let's just put the brakes on. We get the Middle East as fucked up, and we had a big hand in that, kind of like stirring the pot and getting it all, to where it is right now.
Yes, absolutely.
But we got to take a break. We got to like take a step back, and there's a lot of things here in America that they are not even touching on that need to be fixed, like our bridges, our roads. There are a lot of things that really need to be taken care of. And our infrastructure, our schooling systems, are so many things that they're not talking about.
Exactly.
They're just all these weird talking points, and it was so obvious, like, especially in the second debate. I know you missed that one, but it was basically 3 against 1. It was the 2 moderators, Hillary against Trump. It was, like, very obvious that...
Right.
It's just very obvious that everyone is... turned Trump. I know he's a clown, and Hillary's a clown too. In my opinion, they're both puppets that are just playing this weird game. A game that we have no idea is really. We're not involved in this game. We're just kind of observing this game getting perpetrated and played out in front of us.
And everyone thinks they are.
Exactly. We all think that we're involved, but I really don't think we are. This is just a big circus and show.
Like everyone is on the same page.
Yeah.
No one likes.
No one really likes what our options are. And even when people bring up like Gary Johnson, I'm like, Yeah, I get it. But no, Gary Johnson's not a president. He's not ever going to be voted. And he might be lucky if he gets a couple 100,000 votes from people who are just throwing out, whatever, writing in Gary Johnson.
Even the other candidates for president, none of them speak to what I feel is the public consciousness of what needs to be addressed.
Yep.
And I'm trying to be like as bipartisan as possible when I say that.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I still feel that I don't know. I've said it like a bunch of times, but I felt like this was the time for that bipartisan candidate to come up, call bullshit, and really just speak to the people in plain English. But the way our political system is run feels so far removed. They are playing their own game, and we're just spectators in it.
Yeah,
it's just hard to grasp onto what anything they're saying. And the debate, from what I saw the debate too, it's just become like a real reality TV show.
Yeah,
and a joke within itself, and a fucking huge ratings grab for whoever's hosting it.
Absolutely.
You could hear the oohs and ahs and boos of the crowd, and I'm just like, this is a fucking joke. This is like every other debate I've watched from other presidential elections have been just so much more professional.
Right, yeah. It really is just turning into a shit show now.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
It was very depressing, and it was just a back and forth and of like Trump interrupting and denying.
Wrong.
Denying like the straight up obvious allegations against him. But I mean, what else can he do?
Yeah,
it's just hard. It was just hard to watch.
Yeah.
Very hard to watch, and just feel like we're just not great.
Right. Well, so
sorry.
We got Trump, and he's got like these dumb allegations. Okay, I get it. He said some dumb shit. He wasn't a politician. He was never.
Yeah. Is it a big surprise? It wasn't a big surprise.
Yeah, is it a really big surprise that he would talk like that? Behind closed doors with some random dude, like Billy Bush? Like, come on. Like, is that really that big of a deal? And then it's just complete distraction because we all know Hillary has done some real shit. She's the one that's been there. She's been there the past 8 years. She's Secretary of State. She was senator. Like, she had power. She was the one in power.
Yeah.
She was doing all this shit. And no one is focusing on... She really is a criminal. She really did do some shit. Even if the FBI is not going after her, she still did shit.
Yeah.
She's the one that did shit.
Yeah.
Trump's just a reality TV star playing his role right now.
Yep.
He's playing his part. He's going to make all his money down the road. His popularity is going to go up. He's going to not win this election. He's going to call it a rigged election.
Yep.
Hillary's going to go on to win. We're just going to continue on going down the same path we were with Obama, everything he's laid out, which is unfortunate. I was really hoping about the Obamacare. I was really hoping that would get amended. Maybe Hillary will make it actually a real thing, like fix it up, because I know Obama, he got shafted by what was it, Congress, the Republican-dominated Congress. I get that it got completely gutted and turned into the shit thing, but don't give a shit and expect us to be thankful for it.
Right.
It's really shitty that you're forcing people to... you're putting the IRS in charge of health care, and if you don't pay or if you don't have health care, then you get penalized. Which is what I'm doing right now. I have to pay these fees, which is a lot cheaper than me actually having to pay whatever X amount of money. It's just silly to me. If I want health care, then let me go to an insurance company and I'll pay for it.
Right.
If I want it. But don't force me to do it and then charge me extra money on my taxes that I have to pay to the government. It's not really... I don't know where that money is going. I don't know where that money is off in a black hole now. Like, whatever I paid in taxes for my penalty is like, I don't know. If I knew it was going towards like a good thing, I'd be like, I might feel a little better about it, but it's going off. As far as I know, it's in Obama's pocket. I don't know. It's just silly that we're still, I don't know. Look, we're going to go down the same path, and some people might think that we're really, like, doing well, we're doing good. I just am tired of war. I feel like Hillary's going to continue us down a pathway of oddness, like with this whole pathway we're going. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just my opinion. I'm just one dude. I'm just trying to make my way in the world. And I just find this election was really a waste of time and just a real bummer that we all got sucked into this weirdness and that we got to deal with this for another 4 or 5 years, and then we're going to have to deal with another election. And really, what can Hillary do in those 3 years? Because she's going to spend a year running again.
Yeah.
And she's going to be 73 or 4. She's going to be... We're electing a grandma right now to be our president. I know, that was grandpa or grandma.
That was one of the reasons.
It's so weird to me. Like, at least Obama was like somewhat of
a
younger. Like, you felt like, okay, we got someone who might have a little bit better idea of where we're heading. You know, when it comes to younger generations and things like that. But no, it's just.
You know, don't you think that Trump would have probably taken the election if he just wasn't? So
he's a buffoon. He is so poorly.
If he just was
he
quiet.
Says you don't say bigly, and people don't. That's what he said. He used bigly. Bigly. There's not a word, Donald Trump. You got to use real words. You need to hire people that actually know what they're talking about and help you. If you don't want to like have a speech written for you, at least have people help you.
Right.
Like, hey, this is really what people in the Republican Party that you're trying to win over, or just the American people, this is really what people want.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have a better grasp of what people want.
Exactly.
And you need to deliver on that once you promise these things. Because Obama promised a lot of shit and didn't deliver. And I don't know why people aren't looking back on that, but whatever.
They will, though.
They
definitely will.
Of course they will. Once he's out of office, they're all going to... And then he's still going to make millions of dollars doing speeches and whatever other shit he's going to be doing. He's going to be traveling around the world doing... Obama is set for life, man. He is good to go. He's the golden child right now.
But don't you think? Sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
I was just thinking. No, I guess I was just going back to what I was saying before. Like, if he addresses Hillary as like crooked Hillary and all this stuff like that, and like, yeah, you are making a puppet out of yourself.
Yeah. And
you're losing people in the process because.
But he wins over a certain demographic of people that aren't. I don't know if they're the ones you really want to be winning over.
It's not enough to win the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Like no one wants Hillary to be president.
Right, no
but
one.
They don't want her. You know, we don't want him more than her. You know what I mean?
And that people were saying Donald Trump was put in there to help Hillary win. What are we dealing with right now?
Right.
We're dealing with Donald Trump shooting himself in the foot time after time, and then all this supposed, like, you can just grab women in the pussy. It's like, and then people just run with that, completely misconstrue his words. You don't really know what he was saying, like what he was thinking. You know, dudes do talk like that. Guys do say shit like that. And you don't necessarily mean it all the time. You're just saying shit to say shit. Especially Donald Trump, who's like living a completely different life. He's like this. He's a billionaire. He doesn't think like us. He's like, people are coming to him for every answer. Like he's like a god in his own mind because he is controlling the name Trump.
Yeah. All it did was just prove that that's him. You know who he is.
We already knew that. We already knew.
It wasn't that huge of a story.
Yeah.
I feel like, yep, that's him. That's just another thing you can add to the list of shitty things you talk about him.
Right.
It's like you keep regurgitating the same thing over and over again. It's like, yes, we get it.
Yeah.
He's terrible.
Yeah.
Stop throwing gasoline on the fire. I'm not even defending him. I'm just saying like a practicality.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
We've established who he is. Thank you.
And then all these hardcore Republicans are going to go and like, look, we had a chance to get in Cruz. We had a chance to get in Rubio, but everyone wanted Donald Trump. We had our chance.
They were great candidates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a reason because Donald Trump went in there, steamrolled these guys, and they didn't have an answer for him. If you don't have an answer for Donald Trump, are you going to have an answer for some Putin? You know, when you're in office and Putin's getting in your grill and Putin's a gangster.
Yeah,
he doesn't give a fuck. Putin and Obama don't really get along because Putin thinks he's kind of a pussy.
Why? Yeah, why? why isn't there some like calm, collected end of the Republican or in the GOP? Like, just,
this might be the end. Like, I don't know, like not the end, but it's got to be very much a rebuilding process of whatever that side needs to do.
There's too much money
it's just so
in politics for there to be accurate reform.
Right.
Because everyone's been bought and sold, I feel like. And who's going to be the great moderator of the party to say, like, all right, well, let's just bring it back down to square one. Like, everyone's interests are vested somewhere else. Like, who's going to find common ground? We can't even find it within the country. How are people going to find it?
It's just so hard, especially in a country we're a large country. There's a lot of different states. Just like the example of you talking about how different people drive in Tennessee as opposed to California, imagine the actual thinking, the mindset of someone in Nashville as opposed to the mindset of someone in San Diego, or someone in the mindset in Florida, deep south shit, or way up north, these like up in Maine, like what's their mindset like, or like the person that lives in the city of New York, more of a liberal mindset, like they've got all these different mindsets, and it's hard to like mash them together and figure out, okay, this is the person that's going to be our figurehead and at least guide us, budge that ship that is the United States in one direction or another.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's just
so divisive.
I get so tired of thinking about it. I'm just, it's so silly, and I know it is, and I know it's silly to even talk about the election.
We're so inundated by it.
I know, it's just like in our grill right now, especially, and then when you get older, because this is like, you do care about it, really. You really do care about where this country ends up, and you care about who's going to be supposedly representing us on the world stage.
Right. Exactly. I just, younger people must be so apathetic, I would feel like. Because I'm already apathetic.
Yeah.
And they came up in a recession period.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like a lot of their outlook has already been swayed. You know what I mean? Because we came up in a more prosperous time for the country. So we kind of always feel like, we could get back to that. We should get back to that.
Do you even think like the whole mindset of like when Bush was president, do you think that's still lingering in people's mindsets, like their psyche, like we don't want that another president like Bush in there, another Republican, and Obama was just such an excellent speaker, and just like he was just able to kind of just be out there and at least be a good visually for the average American. A lot of people didn't like Obama, but a lot of people just, especially if you grew up with him, you're gonna like him. Like I grew up liking Bill Clinton. Now I do not like Bill Clinton because I did my research on Bill Clinton and Hillary. They're not good people. And I'm sure later down the road we're going to hear about all these dirty dealings that Obama did while he was in office. It just takes time to sift through the shit.
Exactly.
Oh man, this is crazy. Let's try to end the podcast on a little bit more of a positive note. Let's try. Let me get through.
Did you?
No, go ahead.
Did you? I don't know. What were your final thoughts on the?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
My final thoughts on the debate. Like, I know people like to Trump won, Hillary won the debate. I'm like, no one's winning these fucking debates.
Exactly.
Like, it's all perspective.
Like,
if you're going for Hillary, you think Hillary won. If you're going for Trump, you think Trump won. Even if they didn't, like, there's no win or lose in these debates. It's just, okay, let's hear these people kind of converse with each other. It just seems like every single time the moderator was very much biased towards Hillary, and it just was. I thought it was supposed to be like, you're the moderator. You're supposed to be like, neutral in the middle. You're not supposed to be helping one candidate over the other. So to me, the debates are just silly. It's just a show. From what I hear, this last debate got a shit ton of ratings, so that's why they do this shit show. It's for ratings, to sell things online. Or, not online, but to sell advertising and shit. I watched it online, so I don't. Do they do commercial breaks if you watch it on TV? Like, or is it just one all the way through?
I think it just went all the way through.
Oh, okay. However they're doing it, they're making money off of it. Don't worry about that. So yeah, it's just silly. I'm glad it's the last one. Let's just get to the election and let's move on. And everyone could be happy to have the first female president. A computer. Let's just get a fucking supercomputer in there.
Look at Watson.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't care about color, creed, race, religion's kind of funky. If you're in like a culty religion like Mormonism, it's like weird to me. You know, when Romney was running, but besides that, I don't really care. I just need someone in there who's competent and who really does have the majority of the people's well-being in mind. Mm-hmm. And going to war, stirring up shit overseas, doing all these things is not good. And it's not good to keep lying to the American people, to keeping all these, keeping this whole WikiLeaks thing going. Like, why are we still talking about WikiLeaks? Why are there still more emails? Why is there still more information out there that's hidden from the people? Like, I'm just tired of lies, and I just feel like it's just very draining knowing that people are manipulating the political realm to make billions and millions and a lot of money, and you're gaining power with every dollar you make. And that's why it's like just a big greed thing. It's a greed machine, and it's just, I'm tired of it. And we're all on the outside just trying to get along. We're trying to fall in love. We're trying to be able to raise kids if you want kids. Trying to just afford rent, or trying to figure out, can I afford a condo and then rent that out? And then can I afford rent over here? And then, trying to somewhat get ahead, or I guess, just so you can have like a nice little savings at the end and go on vacations. And most people are just trying to live their life, have a good time with their friends and family. And I hope we can keep doing that for another 4 years, no matter who's president, Hillary or Trump. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something else.
Ron Paul.
Yeah, ride him in.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right, so I had this idea of reaching out to other podcasts.
Okay.
And this podcast called Mixed Feelings. It's these two girls. They're mixed race. That's what they go on. And I don't know where they're located, but they're about the same age as us, and they kind of just shoot the shit, kind of very similar podcast to us. And they liked me on Instagram and followed me on Twitter, so I figured they probably heard the show or something on SoundCloud or something. So I reached out to them, and they sent me a message back. And yeah, hopefully in November we could touch base with them and do like an interview, press interview or something like that. And cool. I just think it would be fun just to kind of like touch base with people that are used to talking to microphones and would have maybe some differing opinions than just our friends, which I could imagine sometimes some of our friends coming on and just talking on a microphone. It's a little weird. Like, we've been doing this for a while, like
right.
We're kind of used to just like having a conversation, talking and having a good time. And the friends we do have on, like Sarah, Rachel, Jason, all these other people, they're totally cool on microphones. They're totally good with that, but trying to get other people on is a different story, which I've tried. And people definitely do want to come on, but then it's like, actually, okay, do you want to come on? Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we can reach out to some other podcasts and I don't know, shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Mix it up. Have a good time. Keep expanding Cabin Fever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, buddy. So yeah, before we start signing off, I just renewed my golden ticket, my 215 card. I'm hoping it'll be the last time I have to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
But I've also been looking into the pros and the cons of Prop 64, I want to say. Yeah, Prop 64. And it swayed me a little bit for the con, but not enough to completely. It's got to be legal because hemp alone will be so beneficial. Yeah. I'm just thinking about hemp. Like, I'm going to be able to get cannabis to smoke it one way or another, be it a medical card or if I've got to find some friend, or I'll grow them myself if I got to. I'm going to get it one way or another. So, but hemp is a whole different thing. That's a product that is so beneficial, top to bottom. It is such a good thing to have.
So what were some of the cons then?
Well, they're really talking about like big tobacco companies stepping in. They're talking about the medical companies coming in and putting patents on certain genetics and almost really and it's also it's taking away everything that the 215 prop set up back in the 90s. So it's completely abolishing that, which is really bad because I wish they would keep that as a backup just in case. Just in case. At least the people that really do need it, who do have seizures and really do need the medical benefits. Everyone who smokes weed, there's some benefit you're going to get from it one way or another. But I'm talking about the real people, the people with cancer, the people that are in wheelchairs and suffering from pain on a day-to-day basis. I want those people to still be able to get, just in case the federal government does something weird or something goes down. I don't know. There's tweaks that I wish they would make to where Prop 64 wasn't so beneficial for certain companies and larger entities and things like that.
Right.
Still needs to be legal one way or another. And I hope Prop 64 is actually beneficial and will produce the hopeful after effects of what Colorado got to experience in Oregon and Washington.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping 2016, this will be the year.
I think it will.
Yeah, I think it'll be a very close, but I think it will be finally voted in.
What should happen is a domino effect of legalization that finally forces the federal government's hand.
Yeah.
But then
that's when Matt's moving to Tennessee.
Right. Well, then what you're going to see, though, is the federal government hopefully taking it over. But then any system the individual states have put into place, you're going to see it be tweaked again.
Oh,
somehow.
Yeah.
But I think overall that's the best route for it to go. I see what you mean about the whole 215 thing. I didn't know about that, but
yeah. See, there's always little underlining things that happens with these little propositions and
right
and ballots and all this stuff. There's always little hidden things.
Yeah. It's kind of a double-edged sword.
Exactly. If it, I don't think it would be a complete loss or anything like that. I don't think it'll be a complete devastation if it does get voted in, because people will still be able to safely, hopefully, be able to go into, if they're going to a dispensary right now, hopefully when it's voted legal, that dispensary will still be there. Different process of getting in. A little less hassle. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. So you're voting yes or no?
Yeah, hell yeah, yes. Oh, okay. Yes. But yeah, so everybody, so my advice, just when you get your little booklet, just make sure you're reading, and if you got to, go online, go Google it, like Hillary Clinton would say. Go Google it, and go get all the information you need to get from these different props. Make sure because sometimes, though, the way they word things, it's really the opposite of what you wanted. Type of thing. So they get you to vote yes when you really wanted to vote no type of thing. So you got to be very, very careful. They're very tricky, these politicians. So just be careful. So yeah, man, I think that's it. I thank you so much for sharing your Tennessee story, man. I love hearing that. It makes me want to go visit that place even more now. It's fucking awesome.
Should.
Hell yeah, I will. So yeah, you can find Cabin Fever Podcast on all the different fucking platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud, any others? Podcast Republic.
If that's your cup of tea.
Yeah. So just search Cabin Fever Podcast. We're out there, and you can also find us on YouTube. But you can find us on Facebook and Twitter occasionally.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff at Sean Evans Photo. SEANEVANSPHOTO.
And me at PacMatt. PACMATT.
Matt keeps it simple.
That's it.
Yeah, buddy. I like it.
Alrighty.
Bye.
I've seen Rocky Mountains and Great Lakes. Stood beneath the redwood tree. But wherever I go, my heart aches for a place called Tennessee. Oh, I wanna be where the whiskey flows like wine and the meth labs are divine. Oh, come with me. Cotton grows as big as oaks, and it's picked by poor black folks. That's Tennessee. It's a place where dueling banjos play, where the mountain folk run free, where all the children can spell KKK, but cannot spell Tennessee. Oh, I wanna be where the Hatchie River flows and the kids have 13 toes. Oh, come with me where the hot dogs are deep fried. That's the reason Elvis died in Tennessee. La 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 la. It's piano solo or something. Or a jug. See Mountain Dew in every cup, and all the dentists just gave up. Oh, come with me in my flatbed pickup truck. That's where the classy ladies in Tennessee. In Tennessee.